Hello all, this is Guru Imash. I'm a member of the Guinea Times.
You can see the world around you, observe it closely. It does not tell you only about itself, it tells you about yourself.
Your perspective on Sangam literature and its importance in the Tamil history.
Very important question, I think. Tamil history begins with, in a written form with Sangam literature. If you want a real window to the past, I think that Sangam literature is the way to go. Most of the poems you will not have like a name for a hero or the name for the leading protagonist. Anyone can connect to it. Anyone who's experiencing that emotion can relate to it.
Hello all, this is Guru Imash. I'm a member of the Guinea Times, the official campus magazine of CEG, ACT and SAP. What was the idea behind Sun Seeds, which is your first poetry collection book?
I think it was my reflections on nature that started me on this. I've been writing poems in my blogs for a long time. My focus tends to be on the mind and the nuances of how it operates. And then over in the past 2 years, when I had the opportunity to be in nature, to just be still and mindful, at that time, the thoughts that came to me, I tried to pen down as poems and as a collection. This is from a poem called One Night, and it's about the struggles of the mind and how to emerge from it. I'm going to read the final 2 paragraphs to you. Closing her eyes, she senses the kiss of the morning breeze, the fragrance of the blooming buds, the song of the crooning birds, wondering as she steps into the light, is this the end of every such night? She knows not. A thought to inscribe with indelible ink of the night she refused to sink. Collection. So it was through that, whatever nature told me and what it told me about our human nature itself. Just when you're quiet and when you can see the world around you, observe it closely, it does not tell you only about itself, it tells you about yourself. And so this was my exploration, and I wanted to put it all together as my first work, and that's how Sun Seeds came about.
Moving on to the next question, can you share us your perspective on Sangam literature and its importance in the Tamil history?
That's a very important question, I think. That's my current passion. So I explore Sangam literature through my podcast, Sangam Lit. So I think, Tamil history begins with, in a written form with Sangam literature. It's supposed to considered as one of the oldest literature in the world, of the oldest living language in the world. So, unlike many other such literature, it is not focused on fantastical things or gods or the greatness of kings alone. It is focused on like the ordinary people like you and me, and it gives such a window into a life so connected with nature. So when as a when you've read Tamil in all our school poetry books, we'll have 1 or 2 of these Sangam poems, and all you knew about it was about the pining of a lady, her bangles would slip off, and that's all you had collected. But then afterwards, I decided, then when I read about these archaeological excavations and learned that there was a thriving civilization here, then I wanted to know more about it. See, I cannot become an archaeologist to go to the field and to, to brush against shards of pottery. But what I can do is to look at the living field of archaeology, which I thought was the written word. And thankfully, here it's the real, they've recorded so many elements of the real life. You could, it was like time traveling to that past and looking into their minds and around the world around them. They talk about the animals, and through their similes, they talk about the animals, the plants, and they bring that world alive through few lines of poetry. So if you want a real window to the past, I think that Sangam literature is the way to go. It talks about a life 2000 years ago. Now, if you see Sangam literature, these are poetry of the highest form, written to meter, and so you should look back and see how the language, how many years the language should have evolved to come to that state of being a high literary work. So it tells it, there is so much meaning hidden inside it. There is so much, there's so much knowledge about yourself, about the world, then to be gained from it. So I think a study of Sangam literature, it just opens your mind about the past.
What can we expect from Sangam Lit, your podcast?
Yeah, I'll tell you about my podcast, Sangam Lit. This has been running for 2 years now. I have been almost every day. I would take one poem and I would delve into the curious words and the meaning, and then try to interpret the emotions as well as the hidden layers, try to connect it with the present. How there are there are ways, they would have said a particular aspect of a thing, and then 2000 years earlier, and how does that aspect connect to us now? So this, I'm very thankful that I started with Natrine, because it gave me, it not only focus, it's manageable, it's in about 9 to 12 lines of poetry, but at the same time, it focused not only on emotion, but also on these various aspects surrounding them. Each of these poems would be located in one geography, like either it would be a coastal land like our very own Chennai, or it would be in the hills of Kurunji, or it would be in the agricultural lands or forests. Each one would be situated in one of these landscapes, and all the elements there would come alive before you. I learned about their amazing, that they connect the plants and animals in such, they would see a flower and they would bring in a bird that looks exactly like it. And it's such a richness in that, in literature. And I think it's because everybody is excited about I took an archaeology course recently, and one of the archaeologists said why they were excited about the Keeladi findings was, in pots of pottery that they discovered, there was a writing. So what does this mean? This means that even the common man could write. It was not that writing or learning was not for only the elite or only for the priests. Everybody could read and write. That egalitarian, literate society was, that's why all these archaeologists are excited about exploring that civilization. Now, and if you take Sangam literature, that is a perfect example of that, because there is, in most of the poems, you will not have like a name for a hero or the name for the leading protagonist. Anyone can connect to it. Anyone who's experiencing that emotion can relate to it. So that way, Sangam literature itself is for everyone. It's not for the elite, or it's not for a particular group of people. And this is what I have been trying to convey in my podcast for 2 years. In 2 years, I completed a book of 400 poems called Natrine. Now I have started the next literary work. It's called Kurundogai. It's kind of like the ancient version of Tamil haikus, 4 to 8 lines, and in that they would convey a lot of deep emotions, and that is what I've started exploring from this year.
So the Sangamnet will be, of course, helpful for many. So even from our college, many people are interested in Tamil literature overall. So how can they reach out to you for mentoring activities or other form of activities that revolves around the Tamil literature?
I'll be happy to talk with them and clear their queries. But mostly it is like my journey. It has been what shall we say? It's a journey driven by your interest. So you need to have that passion for it and keep exploring it. As such, and keep writing. If for people who are well versed with the writing in Tamil, they should keep expressing themselves, and that it's the same. It's the the same thing that is to be said to anyone. Do what you love. Keep all your passions alive. Don't say, okay, no, there is no use in doing this. I am an engineer. I should not look at other things. I should be focused only on my work, and that is not the way at all. The modern thinkers suggest that you need to be focused on multiple things. I suggest a book called Range. I read recently, which talks about not very specialized focus, but being interested in a variety of things. So whatever be your interest, be it Tamil literature, be it art, sculpture, whatever it is, keep it alive, and you never know what will aid you in your career as you go along. That path is not clear, but whatever your interest and whatever you do with energy, it will add to your journey, I feel.
Okay, ma'am. So with this last question, we can come to an end. So can you tell us about the course, subtitling course that you provide at Sabami? Can you elaborate on how it proceeds, how it goes on like that?
Yeah, as I was mentioning earlier, I was conducting a face-to-face course, but then after I conducted 2 sessions of it, and then at the moment we are thinking of moving it online. So at the moment courses are not ongoing. So once we ready it so that it can be moved to an online medium, the people can get involved in that. Till then, we will be providing subtitling services.
So with that, we have come to an end. Getting to know about you has been nothing short of a revelation, of course. So on behalf of all the members of the Guinea Times and from college, I take this opportunity to wish you and your academy all the very best for your future endeavors. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your experiences with us. Do you have anything to say, ma'am?
Thank you. Thank you for interviewing me and for sharing my thoughts with the CG students, and just keep going, keep writing, keep doing whatever you love to do. And I kudos to Guinea Times, magazines like this that keep arts alive in a very technical environment. When you go out into the world later, do you realize the value of work such as yours. Kudos and all the best to you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.